Wes Anderson is one of the most recognizable directors of our time, and if you've seen his films, you understand why. Anderson has directed a total of 9 films, all of which follow his extremely unique style that shows he has an incredible amount of influence in every aspect of his films. He is known for his quirky, imaginative, colorful, and dry-humored films. Wes Anderson grew up in Houston, Texas as the middle child with 2 brothers of divorced parents. He attended St. John's Prep High School here, which inspired one of his later films, Rushmore. After high school, Anderson moved to Austin, where he attended the University of Texas and majored in philosophy. While at UT, Anderson met Owen Wilson when the two took a playwriting class together. They became roommates, always talked about movies, and eventually wrote a script together for a movie they called Bottle Rocket. They managed to create a small budget by borrowing a few $1,000s from their parents, handpicked a cast, and actually created the short film Bottle Rocket. Bottle Rocket premiered at the 1994 Sundance Film Festival, and while it didn't generate a whole lot of attention, it was generally praised by critics, and he caught the attention of several filmmakers and directors that helped jumpstart his career. Attention to detail. There is said not to be a single other director that is as direct as Wes Anderson. While Anderson has worked with different people over the years in the production of his movies, his relentless attention to detail has made his films extremely recognizable and almost idiosyncratic. He has co-written all of his movies and has frequently reoccurring cast members. His attention to detail means every layer of his films have meaning, but not in a mysterious way. Every color, costume, line, shot composition, and prop is carefully picked to create meaning and emotion in a masterful way that leaves no question to the viewer. He has mastered storytelling in a way that gives his films both straightforwardness and depth at the same time. All of his films are a piece of him and riddled with his life experience. He says even his characters are usually based on real people or combinations of people. With the amount of influence he has on every detail of the film, it's almost no surprise that in 2009, he released his first stop-motion film, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Here, Anderson found a medium with even more room for detail and space to create an even more imaginative world and set of characters. While his almost insane attention to detail is a defining factor in and of itself, attention to things like color, shot composition, and tone have also become defining factors of his work. Color. There's arguably no one as well known for color in film as Wes Anderson is. It is one of the things that makes his films so imaginative and dreamlike. Every one of Anderson's films has a well-developed and strategic color palette. In the case of his film, The Grand Budapest Hotel, he uses a different color palette and ratio for each different timeline of the story. He uses a palette dominated by orange and olive, one with soft pink and blue, purple, and red that Anderson calls a wedding cake palette to illustrate the Grand Budapest Hotel in its heyday, one with monochromatic gray to represent oppression, and a very dark black one to represent evil and also the antagonistic characters. His film The Royal Tenenbaums uses an especially exaggerated set and costume design to characterize the family and each of its members with the use of an incredibly warm palette dominated by red. Perhaps the most monochromatic film of his is Fantastic Mr. Fox, which uses just about every shade of orange imaginable throughout the film and even in the movie poster. Anderson's attention to color has made his films some of the most aesthetic of all time. Symmetry. Another classic aspect of Wes Anderson's style is his obsessive use of symmetry. It's one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Clear symmetry, paired with heavy use of straight lines, makes the cinematography in Anderson's films especially unique. The point of attention in Anderson's films are almost always the dead center of a shot, and when there's not a focus in the center, you can see clear and clever use of mirroring and balance across a center line of symmetry. Even character posture plays a huge role in these shots that are characterized by straight lines. Humor. Because Anderson is also a writer in all of his films, humor and tone is another glaring similarity between all of his films. Anderson's films are known for their dry humor, delivered in more ways than just in the script writing. The humor in Anderson's films lies in a sense of absurdity, accomplished in a number of ways. Humor is used in the way that his actors deliver often absurd or humorous lines in a dry, serious way.
Is it dark?
Of course it's dark. It's a suicide note.
There's also humor in characterization. In almost every film, his adult characters behave somewhat childlike and immature, while his child characters behave very adult-like and seem to be very wise. The irony of this, presented in a very serious way, helps give his often serious themes a sense of lightheartedness and humor. Anderson also uses more subtle absurd humor in the exaggeration of sets and costumes. Particularly in the Royal Tenenbaums, it's hard not to smile at the serious acting paired with the matching bright red Adidas tracksuits. There's no wonder Anderson's films have attracted as much hype as they have. Wes Anderson's attention to details such as color, shot composition, and tone makes his films some of the most masterful, unique, and recognizable in the film industry today.